Well, hey, family, I want to thank you for being with us on today. And I wanted to come on, haven't been on live in quite a while, but I wanted to definitely raise my voice and to lift up this issue with our dear brother Patrick Lyoya. And if for those of you who haven't watched the video, be sensitive, be careful. I warn you, the video is shocking. The video is it's heartbreaking to see that another black male, another one of our brothers, a young prince, young king, lost his life senselessly uh, in these streets. And we have to raise our voice. I watched the video. I've watched it a couple times. I can't believe what we are experiencing across this country. And oftentimes, I heard someone say, you watch it on television, and it's in another state, and it involves you. You feel it. And this time, it involves, Michigan, right here at our home. We've been connected to the Congolese community for over a decade. They've been family. We've all been family. We've suffered together, and there've been a lot of things we've experienced together. Enjoyed the fellowship and our time, and so this, Patrick's murder has impacted us in a much deeper way. And you think about all the others that young Patrick joins a long line of African Americans and Africans who have been murdered under the hands of state sanctioned violence. And when you look at the video, I can only look at myself and my own children. But today I wanted to offer condolences formally to the family and of Patrick Lyoya, and let the family know, the community know that we're standing with you. We will not be silent with this issue. We demand justice for Patrick. We demand it, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that justice is a reality in this situation. And so when you look at the video, the police department and those in charge have had 1 week. They've had this incident occurred on April the 4th, and they just released the video on yesterday. And when you look at what they called the video, they had 1 week to present, concoct, to create a production. That was not a video. That was a movie. That was a production. That was a number of different footages that were broken up and cut and edited and with captions. And so what we saw was a complete production. It was not the original videos. And you can tell that from just looking at it. When you got things that are redacted and you have cuts made and cameras going off and cameras popping back on. I mean, this is not accountability. And how dare our elected officials, how dare the police department claim that this is transparency after you have had the footage for a week, and then what was presented was a movie, was a cut up, edited version. And that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. And so I wanted to come on and say on behalf of the Lansing community and those that we are, we share your pain, and we empathize, and we're in this together, and we want to lift our voices. And so I wanted to just get some comments in the comment section. And I know there are those that said, well, there's resisting arrest, but you can see from that video that the officer did not feel threatened for his life, because there were two persons that were stopped in that vehicle, and the other person was standing outside filming the entire incident. What we watched on that video was an unnecessary murder. It was unnecessary. This is likened to our dear brother George Floyd and Sandra and Ahmaud. And I mean, like, we could be on here all day long talking. And so I wanted to just, get some comments here and just begin to listen at what are your feelings, and as we all are sharing the pain of this family in our community. And Lansing, we're in this. We're in this with our Congolese family. And so when you look at the video on yesterday, again, think about the police department. MSP had this footage for a week, and what we saw on yesterday was an absolute production. Now, I do these live streams, and I know that, you know, it takes a lot of work to cut up video, put captions in, da 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 da. That was a production. That was not the original video and or videos. There are a lot of questions that are that are unanswered, and what we saw yesterday was not transparency. So you think about it. You think about the officer has had a week. They've had a week to plan and to strategize and to do the things necessary. And the officer has been placed on paid leave. But yet now we are dealing with another young black man who has lost his life. His life was taken. Life was totally taken. And so I've got the live chat in here. If you want to come on live and chat with me, I can pull you up or whatever. But I wanted to lift our voices. We wanted to offer condolences to the family. And, we also wanted to call our attention to the details of what was actually presented to us. And when you look at the video at 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:11 in the morning, come on. I remember that I was stopped. In our city at 8 o'clock, about 8:15 in the morning. I just dropped my children off to school, and I passed by a police officer. And when I passed by the police officer, I said, "Oh man, I know he gonna say something." And sure enough, he pulled out and pulled me over like 10 houses down from my own house. It was on my own street, my own block. Like I'm on my own street. This is where I stay. So he pulled me over and he approaches the car and he's got his hand on his gun. Like he don't have it drawn, but he's looking in the rear view mirror, in the side mirror. I'm looking in the side mirror. I'm looking at him, he's looking at me. And he asked me the dumbest question at 8:15 in the morning. He says, "Do you have any weapons in the car?" I said, "Officer, it's 8:15 in the morning." I said, "Well, I just dropped my kids off to school. Like, what are you talking about?" That's literally what I said. It's 8:15 in the morning, bro. Ain't nobody even had any coffee. You got your hand on your gun asking me, "Do I have any weapons in the car?" I said, "Officer, it's 8:15 in the morning, man. Come on. My house is down the street. What did you stop me for?" And he said, "Oh, I stopped you because you were picking up speed as you came by me." I said, "Picking up speed? Was I speeding?" "No, but there's been complaints of, well, what you stop me for? I got to go to work." And so I can imagine 8 o'clock in the morning, you driving through, doing your business, and you get stopped. And, we've all done it. I've done it. Times we get out the car. Like, what's going on? Like, sometimes you just be like, I know you're not talking to me. Like, something else going on that I need to be aware of. A man got out of the car. It was clear he didn't even understand what the officer was saying. It's raining. Like, man, what's going on? This whole thing. And I'm looking at the comment section. The officer made a decision to end Patrick's life. Mr. Lyoya was executed. Absolutely correct. He made a decision. He made a decision. He made a decision to take a life when there was zero threat to the community and zero threat to himself. And so when we look at that video, we have to wrestle with this. We have to ask ourselves the question: are we gonna just sit and be silent on this in Michigan? Are we gonna just sit and let the Grand Rapids elected officials just kind of throw this out to us? No, we're not gonna do this. Come on, y'all. We gotta say something. We gotta stand up. We gotta lift our voices. We gotta demand justice. He walked up to young Patrick and said, "Do you have any license?" At that moment, he done already assessed the situation. He see there's two persons. He was not concerned about the second person. He didn't say, "Hey, both of y'all get out the car. Y'all can sit on the curb. Let me have the keys. Let me go check everything out." We got this so-called training and all this de-escalation training. Where was all this training that the police department spent all this money on? I want to understand, where's all this training that never protect black lives? That's what I'm trying to understand. And I'm just asking questions. Like we have to get passionate about this thing. And this is uncalled for 100%. Like this is unacceptable. And so especially when someone starts running, you notice they got on like slides. You know what I'm saying? They're not even in a position, or he didn't even understand. Like, what do you mean? Like, what's going on? There were 1,000 other things that could have happened to say. How can you say that your job is to protect and save? How can you say that when what we experience is the exact opposite? But yet we are wrong for raising the issue. We are wrong for demanding justice. And let me tell you, the type of weapon that these officers have In order for you to engage that weapon, you have to pull back with pressure. There ain't no accident. You got to pull back. And so that's a conscious decision to pull that trigger. And how do you pull the trigger? How do you shoot somebody when you're on top of them, when you have every opportunity to get up and to back away and to assess and control the situation? It was clear he had no weapon in his hand. He was not stopped because he committed a crime or a felony. Everything about this says this is wrong. Everything about this says this is unjust. Everything about this is just so wrong. And I wanted to spend a few moments on here just sharing my heart as one of the leaders in the city to say that, we cannot let this go. We will not let this go. Here we are, another brother joins the family. And so let me check out these comment sections and see what you guys got here. And thank you for those that are on here with us today. And so I want you to think about this. The chief said that when he made the phone call for backup, it was 2 minutes before they arrived. And in those 2 minutes, young brother Patrick's life was already taken. The officer didn't attempt to get up off of him and step back and say, my weapon is drawn. I need you to be still. Nothing. Think about the mentality that you will pull a trigger and pull the gun at the back of somebody's head, point blank range. Think about that. I had nightmares last night. Think about our children that have to sit and watch this over and over and over. How can we be wrong? How can this be wrong for lifting up our voices and demanding justice? And so I want you to fill up the comment section. I want us to share the space and say to this family that we love and that we support them. You understand? And that we share in their pain. We can't walk in their shoes, and all the rest of those families around the country. But here we are right here in Michigan. And most of us know, we've traveled to Grand Rapids. We know how the Grand Rapids police are. We already know that this is not new. We know, we experienced this. This is how we traverse these highways and these byways. We know what we're dealing with. So we're not shocked. This isn't a shock. Like, oh my God, how could this happen? This isn't a shock. And so it's just a matter of time. And I'm putting a call out to this community to step up, make your voice known. Let's join this justice move. And this whole system needs to be abolished and needs to be rebuilt for what the people need, period. It's not working. So I'm going to put some music on right quick here. And I'm going to go back. I'm going to check the comment sections. Yes, when we look at the comment section, I agree that this was not about compliance. This was not about de-escalation. This was literally what it reminded me of, like a third grade elementary school playground brawl, where someone trying to get someone to submit, and the other person like, no, I'm not submitting. My man wasn't even running down the street. He just like, bro, get off me. Like the whole time you could look at Patrick like what's the problem? Like, I'm trying to really understand what's going on. Riding down the street, next minute you trying to get, like, what's the problem? And so it's I agree with the comments in the comment section that this I just want to spend some time with the family on here and look at this, because this is all of us. Like, how many more people have to die? How many more people's lives have to be taken? Like, people think, oh, George Floyd, and so everybody like people go back to their old ways and go back no, the system that perpetuates these beliefs and these actions is still in place and is working exactly the way it was designed to work. We didn't see this kind of situation until the plantation. If a slave wanted to run off the plantation, then they put the posse together to go get him, bring him back, bring the slave back. Then they have this whole policing situation to keep you on the plantation, to keep you where you're supposed to be. So there's certain areas that you're not supposed to be. It go all the way back, that same mentality, and we're still being policed like there's a wrong place for us to be and a right place for us to be. Why is that? Why is that even a situation where, like in our own city where we pay tax, there's a wrong place to be? These mentalities, these systems have to be uprooted. And when we look at Jeremiah, he told Jeremiah, before you plant and build, the first thing you got to do is that you got to stand up and you got to uproot. You got to tear down and overthrow. And so I don't understand this passive kind of voice when we see something that is glaringly wrong, then all of a sudden we interpret that we got to love. And so love means we step back and don't say nothing. That's not how that works. Here we are, the week of the Passion. We are coming up on Resurrection Sunday. We're coming up on Good Friday. The Friday, the day was that Jesus gave his life. He was hung. He was illegally arrested and illegally beaten and under the hands of the state. And then he was convicted, illegally convicted and hung up. And so God, in order to show his love, did it through radical. I mean, think about it. Like radical love had to go through radical injustice. Like they're diametrically opposed. You understand what I'm saying? Like they're standing opposite each other. If you want to see what love looks like, you can't only see it if you look at it in the face of radical injustice and hate and deceit and corruption. And here we are on this pivotal week. I want to see what Christians gonna say. How you gonna walk in church and talk about the resurrection? How are we gonna celebrate Good Friday? How are we gonna celebrate Good Friday? And we got Brother Patrick's situation hanging out. No, we can't do that. We gotta have something else. We gotta do something else. We gotta think differently. And so I think this is an important conversation for us to begin to have and to really think about, where we moving and why do our officers feel like killing us is the only option. So this is what I did. I reached out to one of my family members who was an ex-Vietnam vet, and he was talking to me about the power of fear and how, what he was saying to me was that they were trained to kill, trained killers, that they trained to kill. And though he's been out of the service for decades, he said, I still remember how to kill you. That the tactics and the strategies and the attitude that was instilled within us is still within me. Even though I'm old man, I still know how to dismantle and kill you. And this what he said to me, because I was trying to understand. Obviously we know that many police officers come out of the military. That's the point I'm making. But the deeper point was, he said, is that you don't know the power of fear. That in a tussle, even if I'm on top of you, my mind says, if I let you off of this ground, if I let you get up, you gonna kill me. So there's only one option left, now that I'm on top, is to eliminate the situation. That's not protect and serve. You are not this is now war. Ukraine, that's war. But now we are experiencing war right here in the streets. And look how much money President Biden found to support the Ukrainians, as we should. We clearly see that Ukraine is an injustice. We clearly see that. But in these situations, we got to have a video. We need to have an oversight. We need to look at the data. How come this situation is any different? And so again, he was sharing with me, sharing me the power of fear. So I got a question. Did the officer have the victim license? If so, all he had, the victim addressed the identification. Exactly. Pick him up later. That's the point. I mean, come on, y'all. Come on. Like, for real. Like, we gonna walk away with a lost life. And then notice textbook training. In the video, he keeps screaming, stop resisting. Stop resisting. That's for the camera in the video. Stop resisting. Now, who you talking to? Stop resisting. And my man with the camera like, bro, just talk to him. Like, you ain't got to handle him like that. You ain't got to handle him like that. Just stop resisting. Stop resisting. Then all of a sudden, the body cam goes off because apparently there's too much pressure. Now, he said that the chief said you got to hold it down to activate it. And then he said evidently the tussle, there was so much pressure on the body cam that it cut off. But then it ended up on the ground. And then he said if you activate the tape, so that activate the body cam. So the body cam come back on. I mean, like, what's going on? Like, this is crazy. But yet we got a guy with a cell phone in his hand, and most of that footage he is on the ground. He stand now. Who videoing something and you videoing the ground and you got a whole situation happening in front of you? What we saw was a production. And so I'm outraged. I'm outraged by this situation. And I agree the church has to lead off with Patrick on any Good Friday. I mean, like, this I just I had to lift my voice and say to everybody that's following me, you can't be silent on this. We said this with Ahmaud Arbery, we Sandra, every last one of these. I did the same thing. It's not new what I'm doing right now. The same thing. We said the same thing. Now here we are once again. And so I think it's kind of like people think, well, it's gonna go away. We'll just kind of ride off in the sunset, and this problem is just gonna go. It's not gonna go away until we have real transformation in these systems. It's not gonna go away. Training does not fix this. This officer has been trained and been through the academy. Training don't fix when you're afraid of another person, another ethnic group, and there's a strong bias. You can't overcome that when you're taught that these lives don't matter, because there ain't no way in the world. There's no way in the world a Chinese. It's not gonna happen. Other ethnicities would have been treated totally different in that situation. And so I'm looking at the comment section. The violence is baked into the system. Absolutely, it's a part of it. That's violent. That's violent when you have someone who has a taser and a gun and a stick and mace, got backup, I mean, you got everything. You got all the equipment. You should never walk away killing somebody, especially somebody, what I'm saying, that's not even a threat. That's like, for real. He like, usually, you got any license? He look at the what you talking about? Like, then he just turn around and say, hey, blah blah blah. Next thing you know, he trying to get my man hands. Like, what, bro? And I'm saying, anytime you one officer and there's two persons. And so after my man was shot, he then identified him as the suspect. He was never a suspect. He never committed a crime. They said this about, Ferguson, that, they got a call from the corner store that someone had robbed the store. So it's always a situation. But they had a week to get this video together and to chop this bad boy up and present to the community this chopped up production under the guise of transparency. That's not transparent. That's not transparent. That's not transparency at all. Mm-mm. No, that's not transparency. We're not gonna fall for that. We're not falling for that. No, I'm sorry. So I want to have some discussions. I want us to support the family, because the Congolese community, we all family. And so again, I want to just raise our voice today. I'm looking at the comment section here, and I thank you all for, like I want to know, if when you watched the video, what were some of your thoughts when you watched the video? I mean, I just, like, I want to hear your thoughts on here. What were some of your thoughts when you watched the video and walked away, and then he said, suspect down? Suspect? No, he not no suspect. No. Then he said, get back. Who you talking to? You've been wrestling for a whole time. You got a neighbor that come out the house. You got a neighbor that's gonna come to the door, and you got another person that was in the car. And now you saying get back. I'm trying to figure out who you talking to. Now all of a sudden you feel like, who coming up on you? And if the police chief said, look, it was 2 minutes before the backup. Notice in no video do you ever see another cop. You can hear them, but you never see them come on the scene. But what you do hear is another officer or somebody start screaming. Anybody else in the car, get out or whatever. Like, what? What? My man already gone. We are mourning. We are mourning. That's what we're doing. We're grieving. And so I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. If this was a one-off situation, it'd be different. But this is a pattern that has been happening for hundreds of years, not just in this country, around the world. And I want to put the call out. You got to stand up. You got to stand up for Patch. You got to stand up for all the rest of the boys and young ladies and all of our all of our folks, all of our folks, all the black lives. If this was happening to Chinese folk, we'd be saying something different. If it happened to other ethnic groups, it'd be something different. But it's us. That's why I'm on here. We're addressing the systemic issues and the systems that uphold and support this kind of behavior. This is unacceptable. And so again, let me check the comment section. I'm gonna put some music on right quick and check the comment section. So thank you again. Listen, I've been on here a few minutes, but I want you to stay tuned. I'm gonna come back, and we're gonna have some special guests and things like that. But this is really about bringing awareness to Patrick Lyoya, bringing awareness to this gross injustice, to the value of this life that was murdered, that was executed right in front of us at 8 o'clock in the morning or so, right in the neighborhood. No value for life. And if this will happen at 8:11, 8:25 early in the morning, right in our neighborhood, right? I mean, how many more before we wake up as a people and demand and say this is not right? We demand. You can't reform evil. Evil, if you take evil and flip it over, it's evil. If you take evil and turn it on its side and turn it, it's still evil. You can't reform evil. You can't. You that's not how that works. You got to build something new. This is a new era, a new time. I want you to think about it and email me, and I'll see you on the next episode.